The forum gathered successful African entrepreneurs from around the globe to share their stories. They see Africa, with its predominantly young population, as an ideal location for startups to flourish. However, they need more support to manage their businesses.
The issue is that how can we make more of them and create more digital entrepreneurs in Africa? And A is to highlight the success stories that we have, make sure they're mentorship, make sure they're platforms to increase digital skills and talents, and making sure that they're supporting organizations for startups to actually grow.
According to the UN, 22% of Africa's working age population are starting new businesses, the highest rate of any region in the world. But entrepreneurs complain that regulations have become obstacles to growth.
Our challenge is financial, how to get financial to finance our project. It's very, very difficult because the banks request always big guarantee. It's not easy to get financing from the bank. Also, we need to create all the government to create the facility regarding the taxes. You know, they had to remove the taxes for young who want to create their company.
Venture capitals are now an alternative source of funding for startups, and they target good ideas, not just big markets like Nigeria, Egypt or Kenya.
So when we look at venture capital, we like to just see what the solution the person is creating and how big is the TAM, which is the total addressable market. So the fact, if you can be a founder in Botswana, but if your market and your consumers are all over Africa, we'll take a good look at you. So you just need to have a big market that you're addressing. It doesn't really matter where you're located.
The delegates at the forum here have made it clear that there are challenges that need to be addressed. However, one businessman told me, in spite of these challenges, there's no better time now than to invest in Africa. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.
CGTN's Uche Koronko has also been covering that forum for us. She joins us now from the city of Sharm el-Sheikh. So Uche, interestingly, this year's forum started with a focus on Africa's young entrepreneurs. Give us an update on what was discussed today.
Rama, quite an intense day of discussions kicking off today. And the focus, of course, was on improving intra-Africa investments and cross-collaboration amongst Africa's business leaders. And, of course, we saw them focus on the youth. It was quite a rare occasion, Rama, for business and government to openly discuss policy. And this is one of the first times that we've seen them really focus on the youth this time around. Now, about 100 startups were present at the event, so we're here to highlight their needs. They suddenly were given the opportunity to pitch their ideas to international business delegations present at the event. And the focus this time was on, of course, capitalizing on those new business models, those new accelerators, incubators popping up all around the continent. They focused on how to tackle that issue of funding and certainly how to branch out into other African markets. Now, kick-starting the day was one of Africa's most dynamic entrepreneurs, Mr. Tony Elumelu, who of course is the chairman of Hares Holdings. And I stopped him to ask him what advice he gave to these new entrepreneurs.
The road to entrepreneurship is not linear, it's not easy, it's not a straight line. And so entrepreneurs should brace up, but they should be resilient, they should be hardworking, they should be disciplined, and they should know that if people like us succeeded, they can succeed even more. So that is, for me, the key message. Second message is capital. That they need, when they get capital, they need to conserve it, need to spend it judiciously. They don't need to spend everything immediately. They need to imbibe the spirit and discipline and culture of saving. And lastly, they need to think about their brand equity. They need to think of integrity, excellence, and believability, durability of their services.
Now, of course, the day came to a close with a presidential panel. We saw Egypt's president, el-Sisi, and of course, Rwanda's Paul Kagame, basically giving us a view from the top. And what they talked about was acknowledging the need for us to integrate our ecosystems and certainly find ways to keep our youth on the continent. Now, President el-Sisi talked about the fact that that he is looking to provide more loans to the youth with minimal interest. He also talked about rebuilding trust between the government and the youth. President Kagame highlighted the fact that they have a 60% success rate in terms of the survival of new businesses in Rwanda. Now, of course, tomorrow we'll have 2 presidential panels. Quite a number of presidents and representatives will be present, including Nigeria's Vice President, Yemi Oshibanjo, and they'll be discussing certainly what policies are going to push forward regional integration, investment on the continent. Back to you, Rama.
Indeed. We'll leave it there for the time being. That's Uche Okoronkwo there in Sharm el-Sheikh over in Egypt. Of course, that conference does run from the 7th to the 9th of December. There'll be a lot of content coming from there in the next 48 hours.